Hello everyone, dear participants. It's me again, Priyanka Chahal, Executive Director of International Youth Conference, and I'll be again moderating one of our great session. That's and you can see here at the venue of our conference right there, and Ali is sitting there. Ali is the founder of International Youth Conference. Today, right now, we are going to moderate. The comments with Ali. We'll be having some discussion, and some of the speakers will be joining later with us. So the panel aim is from the sidelines to the front lines, empowering youth engagement in politics and governance, and how youth are playing a huge role in amplifying the voices from the ground in governance, and how they are, linking with the government system, raising their voice, and making the things to work better in their communities. So I'll be giving floor to Ali. Let me introduce Ali again. I'm sure that most of you are already aware of Ali. He is the founder of International Youth Conference, and we have successfully organized six edition of conferences. Now we are in the seventh, and that's all the efforts of the Ali that he's guiding us, and we are directing the conference again. So Ali, the floor is yours. You may take the stage, and you can interact freely with the participants here. And then we'll be having a few speakers joining later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. And hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're joining. This is the beauty of doing a conference hybrid while having the participants from all around the world. That somewhere it's morning, somewhere it's evening, somewhere it's afternoon, and you all are watching. And you all are participating actively in the conversation we are having. So, welcome to everyone, whoever are watching from wherever they are. And the topic today that I'm going to speak on is the empowering youth for the youth engagement, empowering youth into getting engaged in politics. This topic is really important and very near and dear to me and many other young people who will join us later on this panel. So, you right now, the population of the world, there are around 1.9 billion young people who are under the age of 24 in the world. They are at the age of 24, and then there is an age bracket that is from 25 till 34. They are also considered young people. They are that's also a big number of population. That is, I don't have the percentage or the figure of that population right now, but what I can tell you is that the 85% of the total population of global south is under the age of 30 and 35, and I'm talking about global south. This is huge, and world's population is largely based on the population of global south. When we speak about the youth engagement in politics, we see that there is a lack of interest from young people that are not very much interested in getting engaged in politics. When we talk about getting engaged in politics, is about first of all going out and vote. That is the most important thing. The second thing is getting practically engaged in public office, some sort of public office. Either you go work for the government, or you get engaged and contest an election, or you go ahead and do the political campaign, uh, or support any political narrative you want to support. And this is really important thing, because what we complain usually about young people, what I see usually complain about politics being bad, or politics being not very inclusive. The thing is that we need to know how many young people first of all go out and vote. You know the answer. You don't have to tell me, you don't have to tell the world. You know the answer yourself. If you are a registered voter in your country, and if you are a registered voter, are you going out to vote or not? That is the most important part. You may complain about the politicians, you may complain about the bad policies, but are you registered as a voter? And if you are you going out to vote? That is the most important thing. The power of voting is something where you have the power to change a lot of things. That's the one thing. The second thing is that when you speak about politics not being good or not for the good people, are you practically trying to change things around that? Are you practically trying to get involved into the political system of your city or your community or your country at a national level or at a local level? You know the answer. You don't have to tell me the answer. You know the answer if you're not, or if you are. I know for sure there's a very less number of young people who are actually practically getting involved with the political office in their local community or in their local offices or anywhere they want to. So you really need to change these things around, that when we talk about the youth engagement in politics, how you are getting engaged around that. So we need to change all of these things. And then the third thing is, the most important thing is that if when a young person try to get involved into the political process, are they welcomed by the political system that exists in their country? Really need to have an intergenerational narrative on that. Like, if you want to participate into the political system, are the people there who are intergenerational, who are not young, are they welcoming you, or are they very much receptive of the idea that you should be part of the political system? So this is a real struggle. The third point that I say about, that I talked about, that are you welcomed or not, and if you're not, how we have to make place for young people and make it inclusive, that you have the seat at the decision making table, and you are part of the proper system. We are talking about these things, we are having a lot of conversations around these things, and I think now this is a time where we would do practically something about that. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Ali. I'll be asking some questions accordingly. We are having our another speaker, and let me introduce Wanta. Hello, Wanta. How are you doing?
Uh,
So, Wanta is the
yeah.
member of Youth Representative Steering Committee at the United Nations Department of Global Communication, and he is also the AFS Youth Advisory Council member. So, Wanta, I would like to welcome you here and towards this most interesting session, which is talking about and which is focused on about the empowering youth engagements in politics and governance. And we would love to hear your experience about your involvement in the politics and that your experience maybe circling around some of the initiatives that may be linked up with the government and how you take the initiatives from the grounds and from the scratch. So we would love to hear more from you, and then we'll be keep interacting more as the session goes. So floor is yours, Wanto.
Okay. Are you guys hearing me? Hi, Priyanka. Hi, Ali. I'm very sorry for being late, but
Yeah,
I'm.
it's completely fine. Completely fine.
All right, cool. And I also want to say hi to all of the guests, the participants who are listening. I think this is a very interesting conversation. Ali and before this conversation, we're very excited about it. Um, I mean, for so many front, one is progressive, and two is needed. And also three is these are the kind of conversation that are needed for our generation. The essence of seeing the pragmatic aspect of young people in political leadership. Now, my opening statement will just come from few things that I want to lay out. One, the UN Sustainable Development Goal highlight the essence that it is very very much important and fundamental to the core impact of the goal by having young people involved in political leadership. And there are a couple of studies that I want to highlight that shows how impactful it is for young people to be involved and engaged in political leadership. There's a study conducted by the European Parliament. The study concluded that young people participation in political decision making can have a positive impact on policy outcomes. The study also emphasized that young people can bring fresh perspective, innovative ideas, and willingness to challenge the status quo for political leadership roles. Underscoring the word status quo will definitely mean the systemic inherent nature of having older folks running, our world, our progressive world, and especially making decisions that are not youth idealistic. Another study also by the National Conference on Citizenship found that young people who are engaged in political leadership are more likely to have civically engaged and work towards a positive social change in their community. Their study highlight the essence of having youth voices, youth participation as an impediment to as a positive vibe to social change. And, the U.S. National Bureau of Economic Research also found out that young politicians who are elected in office are more likely to push for policies that benefit younger generation, such as increasing funding for education, social welfare, and among others. So I want to base my statement last on the last statement, which is when young people are provided a space to lead, they bring forth youth idealistic and youth driven agenda in policies and in decision making. I do think as we go through this conversation, it's important to realize what are some of the barriers that challenge young people participation in political leadership. What can we do? What are some of the steps that we can practically harness? And then also we can be able to look at, what are some of those peer engagement strategies that we can use to inspire our fellow young people to see political office not as not driven by other folks, but also impressive for young people to be engaged and involved into it. So let me just end on this note. I think that's the final thing I want to be able to highlight is beyond just that, there are a couple of things we can definitely do for youth representation in political leadership. One of those things is we have to be able to embrace and support youth political process and movement in our country. It could be grassroots movement, it could be existing framework, existing political party that's youth friendly. We definitely can be able to encourage and support it. We can establish affirmative action policies or campaign for affirmative action policies that look to target young people in political leadership role. Another thing we also can do is to ensure that we provide opportunities and education that are, very crucial to, decentralize the mind that we have to a more progressive mind that sort of embrace the idealism of young people in political leadership. We can be able to use social media as an engagement tools, have safe space conversation, also target decision makers to embrace an agenda that's for young people and that embrace the readiness of young people for political office. So I'll stop here. And again, I want to apologize for coming so late. I can't wait for us to go through this conversation and also hear from some of the many young people we have going watching too. Thank you, Priyanka and Ali.
Thank you so much, Wanta. Many people are even commenting. They are saying that critical thinking is even more necessary to, get involved in the politics, and a critical brain solving power is must. Uh, and that's completely fine. Wanted to, you are not late, and we were supposed to have today three speakers: Ali, you, and one more speaker from Mexico, Juan Pablo. He's not here with us today. He got some problems right there, so he was not having any internet issues. So then we will be leading our conversation. We'll be continuing. And Ali, I have a question for you. That we all know about your journey, right? Many of the people here at OIC know your journey. So, and this I'd like to say that this session and this panel is especially, I think, for you to explore more of your journey. So maybe we do not know, and we can ask you some questions. So I'm having this question: that what challenges have you faced in engaging young people in political process from your beginning journey, and what strategies have you found to be most effective with the most effective results? So how did you overcome the challenges, and then how did you find the effective solution of that?
So the difficulties in the journey is something. There are two sorts of difficulties. One that we create, in our own head with our own attitudes. And then the other difficulty is external, that we blame on the society or other people that they're not letting us in. Both things, both difficulties are true, both challenges are true. uh, the thing is that when we have the problem, for me there was a problem that was personally associated with me, and I have to do something about it. And I know the exact route. Like if I'm having a problem, that problem is affecting my family, that problem was affecting my neighbors, that the family was affecting my whole block, that problem was affecting uh, the whole neighborhood, then the city, the nation. And if there's a problem that's personally affecting you and your family, your friends, and your people, you have to do something about it. And you can only, can complain about it. The best thing we can do is we raise awareness, we complain about it, that we have this problem. But the thing is that you have to do something about it. And that's when I decided to, get engaged into the process, in politics at local level, then national level, then now at international level. So it all started from how you have to take the first step. When I took the first step, then it's a long journey from there. You would, like, people will not accept you if you're especially coming from a middle class background, or even a lower middle class background, or economically challenged background. So it will make really difficult for you, especially by the society, to participate into the political process or have a voice that is too strong. So we have to create a strong voice, used internet, because the problem that I was facing was not just mine. There were many people facing such kind of problem. And you're on the internet, you create awareness. This is a modern day, and every day technology is improving and improving. We have data science, we have digital media, and what not, to make things possible now. And I think politics right now, and especially for young people, is really easy. The challenges I faced at the time, we did not have that Facebook, we did not have Twitter, we did not have Instagram. We start At that time, what we have was MIRC. I don't know even people know about MIRC or not, what it is. Or Orkut. People may not know, this generation, what Orkut is. We use those
Even
platforms to
I didn't hear the name, but I'm just interrupting you here because we would like to hear more about that as well.
so those platforms, we created campaigns there. We created campaigns on online platforms, raising awareness, and then meeting people there on those platforms. And from there we started. Now we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have TikTok, and many other things. We have Zoom, StreamYard, where we can do a larger scale mobilization, where we can get our message across to the people. These were the challenges we faced at that at in those times, that to get the word across and get the attention of the mainstream political organization or the mainstream political system. So that was a real challenge. And then getting accepted, especially coming from a background that they might accept you or not. So that was also a struggle, where you have to really show up, really go in and do the advocacy about the people. So for the if we, there are I'll be a little bit more blunt about it. There are people who raise issues uh, because they want to get famous, honestly, because they want to get known by the people. They want fame. But then there are other kind of people who raise issues because they really feel about it, and they want to do something about it. So you have to decide what you want to be. You want to be a one night stander with the your fame, a short term fame, or you want to live in the history books for long. That's when you want to live in history books for long. That's when you decide to live for the cause that you really believe in, and you go out after it. You really go and you take the first step, that okay, I have to start by, just let's say, creating a Facebook page, or creating a Twitter handle, or just creating a hashtag about an issue. Get 5 people to work on that hashtag with you, and see if that issue resonates with a lot of people. there are a lot of people gonna join you. That's how we started, and that is what my advice to young people is, that that how you should start right now. And again, I will say that you want to get engaged into politics. The first thing I did as soon as I turned 18, I right away the next day I registered myself as a voter, and I make sure in the next election I don't like the candidate or not, I make sure that I go to the political uh, voting booth and cast my vote, or even just registered there that I was there to vote, but I did not cast because I did not like the voters there. I may write something on the voting paper, something that I did not like the candidate or something, but in the system I did went out. This is when I started, and this is that everyone have to do that. You want the change in the system, you need to go out, vote first, and then speak about it, and then get engaged in it. Imagine the number of population we have in the world of young people. I mentioned, like, the 85% of the world of the global south population is under 30, 85%. Imagine those 85% young people. I'm sure that young people, we are united under certain things, that UN Sustainable Development Goals. We need to eradicate poverty. We need to work on sustainable cities. We need to have more clean energy. We need to have more clean drinking water. We need to have an inclusive education system. We agree on all of those issues. Imagine those 85% young people in global south. They go out, participate into the political system, and they stand on one agenda. Imagine the state of global south being changed in next 5 years if we just follow one simple thing: get registered as a voter. So these two are my big advice to young people.
Thank you, Ali. I found that really good. The struggle is real, and you are right that we had to first recognize the problems. The problem is inside, or the problem is outside. And if the problem is outside, then how to handle and execute and finding the solution of that. And yes, even every small change matters. So it doesn't always having the fame or getting the public attention. It's always to create the change on the ground, because every change matters, and that can lead to great impacts in the community. And it only takes one to stand and take the chance to speak, to raise voice. And we are having the example here, as Ali is one of the example. And one time also, again coming back to you, as you were talking about some of the biggest barriers that are preventing the young peoples, right? So you were talking about that. So here I would like to ask you that what are the some most of the biggest barriers that are preventing young people from getting involved in politics, and how we can over them, or how we can help them to overcome them, or how they can help themselves to overcome those barriers. And according to your experience, or what kind of barriers have you faced in your life, or and how you find the solution of that? So yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll first start with the kind of barriers that we have. Since I'm from West Africa, I probably will speak from the context of an African perspective. So the barriers is of course evident and glaring that we don't have young people truly involved and engaged in political leadership, especially in Africa. For context, in terms of statistic, we have youth in political leadership at a very low rate. According to the UN, Africa has the world's youngest population, which we know about. Approximately 60% of our total population is under the barrier of age 25. In spite of this, it might shock you to know that 10% of our African political leaders are under the age of 45, which is significantly a very low figure as compared to a population that has the highest youth ratio. And also there are countries, despite that, there are a couple of countries that have made strides, which I want to be able to emphasize on what their solutions are and how they have made that sort of, greater leap in spite of several countries being below the belt of, robust youth engagement in political leadership. And one of those countries is in 2019, Ethiopia appointed It's 68th year. I'm so sorry. Someone trying to call me. So sorry. All right, I'll probably make that cover. In Ethiopia, a 32-year woman basically was appointed in her role as secretary, became the youngest presidential press secretary in Africa. And currently, we have parliaments around Africa who they can, in countries like even in Nigeria, in Ghana, they have parliament who are at a very young age, and their solution is simply embracing a youth friendly framework of campaigning towards ensuring that young people can have a political seat. Couple of barriers that I've seen, that impact young people engagement in political leadership. We have financial barriers. Young people may not have the finance to start grassroots mobilization engagement, especially in Africa. The political dynamics in Africa is not as compared to Europe of the US, where if you run for political office, you have an expected target for people to donate to your campaign. Yeah, if you are running for political office, you probably will have to estimate the expenditure that you'll be able to make to change. Another critical aspect is our political space is being, monopolized by cash violence. And so until we can be able to transition our minds to having independent and fair and transparent political process that will be based on ideas, framework, and policies, and track record, until we have those kind of, where our campaigns and political process will be debated on the basis of issues, now on the basis of different variants that challenges the status quo of transparency in those process, we will continue to have reduction of young people in political leadership. And this is because if you campaigning for office in Africa, you have to be ready to spend money regardless of the country you are in. People expectation for political office is more about what you can be able to offer them at the stage of your campaign. We certainly can change the true policy. We can change this. Like I said, I listed a lot of barriers, a lot of things we can use to change this. We can change this by encouraging and supporting youth participation in political parties and movement. We can be able to establish affirmative, action policies that target young people, minimize participation in political leadership. We can be able to provide education. Education can serve as a progressive progressive targeted period of change that young people can be able to embrace the ideas of supporting their fellow peers run for political office. We can be able to have meaningful conversation with policymakers in different states and nationals, including multilateral institutions, on how we can be able to promote youth engagement decision making process. There are steps to take, and I'm very positive we can be able to achieve those steps. But we have to be able to see this as a rational table of change and add unifying it to be able to achieve that sort of inclusive and more rigorous participation of young people in decision making and political leadership.
Thanks, Wanta. People are engaging on your comments on this topic, having the barriers on the ground. And I think I read some comments that the participants were saying that it's always a problem when the leadership mindset also depends on how the young people are mobilizing themselves and trying to get involved in politics and governance. Um, I hope that your insight and your experience may help them, and maybe later we can hear more solutions of that and how you already overcome, and what are the more solutions that you also want to highlight. So we will be asking later to you. So I'm coming back to Ali. Ali, how can we ensure that young people are not only participating in politics, but also shaping the political discourse and agenda?
Thank you for this very interesting question of why and how they are shaping the discourse of political agenda. Again, I will say that today in 2023, as I speak from the Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, the hub of the technology of the entire world. The technology is shaping not just youth with the help of technology, they're shaping the agenda and the discourse of politics. Previously, if you go back 10 years ago, we have not seen the use of the digital campaigns, or even I would say that from 2008, when the former president Barack Obama was, I think, the first leader on the main scale when he used the internet and the tools to shape his agenda and put his candidacy forward to contest an election. He used that, and he did it on a big level. Then many other leaders, the elections globally after that was followed on the same scale. That was what I'm telling you, used by some main scale political parties or the political organization. Young people from there onwards, they are using internet, they're using their voice on internet and technology to reshape the agenda of politics and how it looked like previously. To uh, make your voice heard, you have to go to the town halls, and in many countries you do not have the concept of town hall, especially in global south, where you do not have freedom to talk about what the politicians are doing wrong, and you do not have the freedom or the platform to talk about what young people want and how they want to change the political system. Now we have the platforms. We have it, for example, we have international youth conference where we're talking about this, and there are many platforms like that. Yesterday I was at the UN ecosoc youth forum. There were a discussion about the campaign called Be Seen, Be Heard. It's on the youth engagement in politics. That is another platform. Then there are many other platforms. There's a campaign in Nigeria called Too Young to Run, something like that. That campaign is called, and they are doing this. That's a platform. They're using those platforms to reshape the agenda. They are speaking out, they are talking about it, they are telling, they're putting their agenda out in front of the world. And that when that agenda is supported by their fellows in their countries on the internet, that's when the politicians are going on internet and seeing, hey, what's going on. That's what young people want, and this is what we should do, and this is how we can, get the attention of young people. So the use of internet, I would say that alone right now is a major factor in reshaping the political agenda of the local politics of the countries and the international politics of the country. And in the diplomatic language, we call it white propaganda. It's simply putting forward white propaganda as you simply putting forward your agenda right out there in simple words in front of the people, without any barrier, period, without any barrier, without any censorship. Internet is free of censorship at some point right now. Yeah, so that's how young people are shaping the agenda.
Thank you, Ali, for sharing your insights and remarks on this very interesting question. Um, as we are in the loop, I'm again going back to Wanta because I really having great questions to ask from both of you. So, Wanta, what are the advices that you would like to give to the young people who are interested in getting involved in politics or governance or decision making, but they sometimes can feel discouraged, by watching the system right there or unsure about where to start. I'm not sure if you can answer this question or maybe Ali can answer, but yes, it's for the people who want to get involved, but by watching the system right there in front of their eyes and the political system, which sometimes can be corrupted or, like the black. system, we said. So how you can encourage them to participate more in the political agendas and decision making? Maybe Ali or maybe Wanto, any of you can answer, or both of you can answer. We would love to hear. You're muted, Wanto. You can unmute yourself.
Sorry, are you guys hearing me now? All right, cool.
Yes.
So now that we have realized how important it is to have young people participating in political leadership, I think it starts from different nature of recognitions. First, young people have to believe in themselves. Um, Running for political office literally not just an easy task. It has to do with competence. It has to do with confidence, and it has to do with an idea and manifesto that drive some sort of sustainable change that you care about. What we have seen with diverse young people around the world, including the U.S. That run for political office, they usually come from a background of grassroots activism, where they have over the years advocate for the specific cause. Some of those causes having genuine belief in climate actions. Some of those cause is also having belief in equality. Some of the cause is also having whatever cause it could be. Our world is driven by a lot of social issues that sort of makes it that create that necessity that young people should be fully involved in those kind of things. The next aspect also is that never allow yourself to be moved or challenged by conversation you hear about yourself. Running for political office will have a lot of discouragement. Even if you are campaigning for a specific candidate, you have people who have different opinions about you who might be able to, disregard your path to where you are currently. You will face a lot of propaganda about yourself that you'll be really. It's a dangerous space, but it's also worth it in terms of it is the easier pathway for broader social change. Some people, I've had conversation with a lot of people who ask, why are you transitioning, not transitioning, why are you into activism, into advocacy, and still also, fully involved in the political canvassing. And the reason, my response is, as an advocate, or maybe as a change maker and social actors, you realize that political space is the highest platform to engage faster and more efficient social change. And so when we see political spaces, we believe that we can be able to you know create faster change in those things that we have advocated for years. And so it is dangerous, but it's worth it in several mediums. So you have to believe in yourself as a young person. You have to realize that it's not a privilege, it's a right. Running for political office or canvassing for the political candidate is a fundamental right that that we all strive for to achieve. A right to express yourself freely, a right for political affiliation, and a right to be able to stand and campaign for the political cause. And so there are also a couple of things that are very important. We need to have that sort of youthful solidarity where we can be able to collectively, even in our disagreement, realize how crucial it is for us to be able to, have more young people in the political office, because the increasing nature from some of those studies that I provided, the increasing rate of young people in political leadership have shown through a lot of independent studies to be the faster means of ensuring social and broader actions. And some of those studies that got listed out, the European Parliament, realized that when young people are fully involved in the political participation and decision making, it has a more positive impact in policy outcomes. Other issues also is that the fresh ideas of young people, their perspective, innovative ideas, willingness to challenge the status quo, makes political space more proactive, more efficient, and more driven by human causes. And so there are vital reasons why we should be able to participate in those processes. The last thing I would definitely say that is important to recognize is that Running for office is not about win or loss. You could run for political office and still lose. The point is consistency on a specific core ideas for which you may have, decided to run for a specific seat should always be at the back of your manifesto. You should be consistent on your ideas. You should always stand firm to advocate for those social change that you want. And I think when we recognize those barriers, and we definitely can be able to have a better opportunity for young people, and we can stand firm to unite together for that cause.
Thanks, Ronto. In the here, I just read a comment. Our team just pinned up the comment. When person is asking that he wanted to organize some of the workshops in the community to train the people, but on their side, giving the condition of their side of their country, the person didn't write the country. He's asking that like they just lose the interest in the politics, and now they don't want to organize the community workshop that they were wanting because of the mindset of the political leaders right there. So I think he wanted to say that sometimes they feel discouraged by and that you already answered that people feel discouraged by watching the system right there. And I believe that even we all agree on the statement that even if we are having some problems in the community, we can raise the voice. We can do by our own skills and knowledge, and we can proceed further. As we at RSC also, we are designed by the youth, and now we are raising voices. We are telling the youth people what are the issues. We are discussing on that, and we are providing the solutions. So it's always a together work. So together we grow. Ali, as you are sitting right now in a technology hub, right? And even in the theme of our conference for this 7th edition is innovation and development, inclusion and development through innovation. So development and inclusion. How would you like to explain this? That I hear that you were saying something about technology, that in this era, technology is also playing a great role to connect with the people and to start some campaigns. Um, but uh, as we look to the futures, what can be the biggest barriers that maybe innovations can have, or maybe the youth using technology can be positive or can be negative? So we are just talking about the future now here, having the opportunities as well as talking about the challenges, and by taking into consideration the impact of technology right there, because we all know that there can be positive and negative impacts of even the technology innovation when we talk about the growth. So, Ali, what's your perspectives and views on this, especially in the politics and government?
Thank you, Priyanka, for this question. First, I would respond to this gentleman's comment that he made. I was reading that he don't want to participate in a, political process anymore because he's discouraged, and then people are saying that the politics is bad. I would say something that people would not like, but again, it's a truth, and you really have to. Everyone really have to hear that. When you look in the mirror yourself, and if your hairs are not nice, or your dress is not looking good on you, if you're not feeling confident about you, do you break the mirror, or you stop looking into the mirror, or you go redo your hairs and make a good dress? Of course you don't break the mirror. A leader of any country is the mirror of that nation, is the mirror of that nation, because he is, even if they are elite, they're coming out of you. You have to change that by the power of vote and coming out and do something about it. You got discouraged, and you're not organizing that workshop anymore. That is something. You break the mirror, or you are just not don't want to look into the mirror anymore because you're embarrassed or you're discouraged. So you have to change that. You really have to change that and do the workshop and do something about it. You don't break the mirror. That's unnatural. And the second, the question that you asked, like the future of the politics and especially of technology, and then it have its own problem. The first of all, the biggest problem is in the global south. Again, I advocate a lot about global south because there are so many problems and we're ignoring those problems. We don't talk about those problems, and they are the major part of the population of the world. And I would talk about global south, South Asia, Africa, many countries in Middle East, many countries in Europe and Far East. They have the challenge, especially the remoter communities have the challenge of not even having electricity there, not even having the internet there. Forget about mobile phone or smartphone or anything else. When you do not even have electricity, how you going to do that? So first, what we have to do is to make technology more inclusive and available for the world, for everyone. While we are here in San Francisco and Palo Alto, we're talking to partners, meeting different people, and trying to get engaged into a conversation on how we can make technology more accessible. From the point of view that we can take these messages across to those people about getting engaged into politics and how to use those technology and make actually technology accessible for them. It's gonna work for them as well, and it's gonna work for us and the entire world as well, that they be getting more aware of uh, this political system that's going on globally, and they can actually be part of it. So accessibility is a big issue, which was exposed during the pandemic of COVID-19, when everyone was forced to work from home or kids were forced to study from home. Many of the kids who do not have the high speed internet, what about them? I'm talking about in New York. New York is one of the modern city of the world. We see there that the people from the low income communities, their kids did not have the high speed internet or the laptop, and the school have to provide them. For them, school provided them. What about, let's talk about India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Burma, and where else, where the country have their own economic challenges and they cannot provide the computer internet to the kid who wants to study, and while the other person who can afford it have it. So this is a clear inequality in terms of the distribution and the inclusion in technology, and this is going to be a big challenge. But we're going to do something about it, that the future may look more inclusive. If you're talking about technology, let's make technology, with the help of technology, let's make this process more inclusive. Let's engage the young community leaders who know the culture well. So what we are doing is something that we making things global, a global village. We're living in a globalized world. We have to do the localization of technology. That is really important, reaching them out into their local language, into their respecting their local customs, and not trying to make them something else. In fact, trying to make them a better version of themselves using the technology. So the inclusion, I see it's going to be an issue, and this is how we may face it.
Thank you so much, Ali, for answering this question, because this is overlapping with our theme even for this edition, and for the state that you are sitting right there as well. And that's very important to know all the aspects of the things that we are doing, that both the negative and the positive. Of course, we have to think positive, but it's always good to keep in mind the challenging that we may have while starting from scratch, because the eventually meaning of all the things that we are doing even right now is to help and lift each other, because humanity matters and we do care about each other as being humans. And all the engagements, all the discussions, all that is all in a line, and sometimes it can be circular, so things come back and go. And I completely agree on your remarks on based on your experience, and want to on yours as well. One day, if you want to add something in the end, and then we'll be wrapping up the session. So that will be really helpful for our audience as well. If you have anything else to say, maybe some inspiring words for our participants from Global South, from Africa or Asia, from developing countries, because you are a great leader and you can be a great example to them. I'm sure that there can be audience and participants in our conference who are students who are studying in school, some teenagers. So just deliver your motivating remarks maybe for them. Again, you are muted.
Is it me or Ali? That's me.
Yeah, that's you.
Okay. First, I want to appreciate it's been really an incredible panel. Especially with the kind of experience that we've had and the conversations that we're driving. I think it's also like I said, these are the kind of conversations that we should be having, especially in our world of today. I am pro youth in political process. I don't think any young person should avoid the political space. Irrespective of where you find yourself, we should embrace the ideas of seeing political leadership as a legitimate right, and we should see it as a platform that's accessible to us, and we should see political affiliation also as an as a right to as well. We have the right to affiliate with any institution that we want to affiliate with, and we have the right to demand our participation. One of the famous quote in terms of youth political participation, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said, "Young people are not just leaders of tomorrow; they are leaders of today. We must give them every opportunity to step forward and set the agenda and lead the way." In echoing this entire tone in my opening, my closing statement, I want us to realize that we have incredible potential for social change, and we can be able to navigate and express the potential in different manners. But certainly, also, political leadership is one of the most proactive manners that we can express those potential. And as Ban Ki-moon cautioned us to see political leadership as a space where we can learn, where we can lead, and where we can act, and where we can set an agenda, and we can be able to proactively design and craft policies that work in our interests. I think today this conversation should inspire all of us, to realize that we just can't be constituents consistently. We can transition from being constituents to being political leaders. We can transition from being partisan to running for political office. We can be able to transition from being, apolitical to standing firm and having a voice and demanding social change, and also canvassing for for the specific political party and political candidate that falls in the barriers of our ideas and in the barriers of our solution for sustainable change. And I think we all can be able to do that. And let this space be a space that inspire you to take the next step forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanto. You talked about here getting the opportunities. Sometimes opportunity do not come to us. We have to stand and grab the opportunities. Opportunities are everywhere, but it's just the mind and the mindset that we can grab the opportunities because uh, you know there are some disparities in the world, and I like to say, as in being an executive director, and I myself as a youth advocate, I like to say to our audience that go and stand up and grab the opportunities. There's always a way to start from scratch, but every efforts and every hard work gonna worth it in the end. There will be some struggles, pain, failures, winnings, but every of the experience will be equally appreciated in your life, and that will grow you more as a human, as a leader, and as a saver of humanity. Thank you so much, Ali and Wanta, for this session. We are about to wrap up the session now, and we'll be looking forward for our next session. for the next day. It's very late on my side, and we understand that many of our participants are also attending. Maybe it's very late right there on their side. But we are also sure that you are really enjoying this conference, and we are looking forward to have our days more interactive tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a great
Okay.
time, Wanto. Have a great time,
Thank you,
Ali.
Thank you,
Priyanka.
everyone,
Thank you,
and
Ali.
thank you,
Okay.
Wancho and Priyanka, for inviting me to speak.